Welcome back, everybody. That was a ridiculous voice crack. I don't know if you heard it. Anyway, welcome back, everybody, to the High Elo Leca Champs. Today, I forgot to count because it took a while to get this video out because some people refused to play games because they forgot to schedule with their opponent. Anyway, so that's that. I want to just come out and say it. I lost. it's gonna come out and say it. I don't care. I don't give two shits. I originally joined this tournament for the fun of it. I didn't even expect my ass to reach remotely close to the quarterfinals. I did, so yeah, that's kind of an achievement. At least I beat one or two people. So that is that. And also lasted quite a while, so yeah, that's that. So, yeah. And you're going to see some games with my colleagues. You're going to see mine as well first, because I'm an egotistical narcissist. And you're going to see mine first. So that's that. Took a while to get this video out. I hope I can get the semifinals faster. I'm talking to the ones that are making the games with their opponent. Please. And this is, the format is 10-5 for, the quarterfinals knockout stage. It's a best of one. If you make a draw, you play another one. If you make another draw, it's 10-0. And if you make another draw, it's just blitz until one of them dies. So, yeah. That's that. So, let's get into the games. Let's have some fun. So, let's be a little destructive. Maybe you're going to learn an opening. Who knows? Maybe, but at the end of this video, you're going to be so interested in learning opening from one of these that I'm going to show you. Let's get into the games. Well, let's jump in the first game. I hope you're ready to see me get absolutely humbled. I'm joking. Anyway, Trumpowski attack and the d5. This is like my favorite variation for white because you just have some simple things to follow, like take the knight and replace your pawns in a dark square color complex and put your bishop there and slowly expand on the queen side and castle either side you want, and depending on the side you castle, that's how the game is going to go. And we have, the classic Trumpowski moves with white. I don't know what black is doing. Black is like playing the variation where you just reroute the knight. I mean, doesn't have a name, so I don't know what it is. F5, though, you're trying to get this clamp thing here. But castles, A6, and B4. This is just to take space on the queen side. Bishop to E6, very patient game, and A4, and B5. And I decided to just keep the tension and just push. And this is the very close position. I mean, the top end move is literally G5 to take space. It's a very close position, very equal, and the knights are going to make the difference. Knight to C1, trying to go for a reroute to potentially install a knight right there. And black is just pushing pawns. I mean, Oscar, my man, is just pushing pawns because literally there's no other move. Because of how close the position is. My goal was to out-stamina him, but clearly did not work out. Knight to D3. And knight to b3 and bishop f7. I mean, there's lots of shuffling, and then just bring the rook here temporarily. King g7, that's to just bring the king closer. King h1, I'm probably gonna get prepared for a pawn storm. Knight to e6, and one of the top moves to just put the knight there. And black decides to push a couple of pawns, and I just take this knight and replace this one immediately, which is not taken. Nothing is happening compared to the other game that I've done in review 1. I now have h4, which, I mean, the sole idea of it is to just open up the king, and I take the bishop, so no more bishop here. So now back to equality, or sort of, because, and, I mean, black's bishop is just trash, mine is trash, and the only chance is when the h-file opens up and counterattack is brewed. But we have pawn takes and pawn takes like that. And if you say that you can't speak, Jesus Christ. What if you take with this pawn? Then you're gonna lose on the spot because the rooks, the queen just goes here, puts a lot of pressure to that pawn, and if you just go here and lazily defend it, you're gonna lose it. And white is just totally done here, so that's why I take with the 8th pawn, even though I kind of regretted my choice because I opened up the king, but it doesn't matter, because after you move away 2 times, and you move your king, or just block the diagonal off, which is also a move that I liked, and they double up, you just move your king like that, and if they try to bring the queen to the h-file, you fight back on the h-file, trade all of your pieces, And this is just a dead draw. I mean, once the queens get traded, there we go. And after that, we just agree to a draw because this is an opposite color bishop endgame, and there is 7 pawns for each side. Then I mean, it's just a draw. I mean, there's no play. Like, you can go here, but then I mean, you can do a little bit of shuffling with your king around, but that's it. There's no way to break forward, and that's just a clean draw. So let's go to the next game. And now for the next game, and my final one, because you're going to see why. Sicilian A3, and I'm trying to play what I've recommended people to play when they try out the Sicilian. Of course, we're talking about the Khan setup, and of course, we have a sort of transposition to a Khan Sicilian, but there's A3, so it's not quite it. He plays D4, which kind of gives open Sicilian vibes. If A3 was not here, this would be an open Sicilian, but because A3 is there, it's called that variation. I'm pretty sure there's no more theory. And it's just an open Sicilian, but with A3. So it's basically like a wasted move Sicilian open, because kind of benefits me, not gonna lie. Knight to C3, this is basically just an open Count Sicilian, and we have B5 instead of, the Knight to F6 line. I want to, mix it up a little bit, try to mix up the prep. And now we put the bishop in a comfortable diagonal. This bishop is kind of good in diagonal. I mean, white just makes natural improving moves to the position, just developing the pieces out. There's nothing really to talk about here. And now we'll just attack the pawn for good measure. It's defended, and then we decide to put the bishop here. King h1 is already a signature move of a pawn storm incoming. That's very common in Sicilian. And then we have the knight plopping in here, and then we just put the knight right there. And then we get the bishop pair. And I should have taken with the pawn according to the engine, but I did not like it because why would I voluntarily close the c-file with this literally the entire pawn of Sicilian to just have an open c-file? That makes a lot more sense. So yeah, and now we have a queen trade, and I decided to take it, and for some reason I was expecting rook takes because it looks a lot more natural, but he takes with the pawn instead and creates this triangle of pawns. And now we have knight to e2 and knight to d7. And we just shuffle a couple of pieces. Now he pushes the pawn. I shuffle my knight there. And b3. Knight goes back. The reason why I put my knight there was the idea was to put the knight right there to exert some sort of pressure to the position. And if white just plays like a king move, for example, I'll just place my knight right there, attack some things, and force you to go backwards, and I will just use that time to take over the c-file. So that's why we have the move b3, and my excuse is that you've moved your pawn and fucked up your structure, so I'm just going to go back. That was literally my entire plan. And now this move, and I decided to just not do anything on the diagonal, because we don't want the light square bishop to close up. See, if you played a move like takes here, for example, that's very bad, because now this bishop is completely blunted, and you're probably going to trade it off, and there goes your bishop pair advantage. So that's why you have the move rook c8, taking over the c-file. Now takes and takes with the pawn, and the rook goes to the c-file, and we place our knight right there. It's kicked out, and instead of, placing it in a very good square right there, which exerts a little bit of pressure, and if you attack it, well, there's this move, and after you attack it again, then you just go back and you just attack everything, and, I mean, I did not spot that for some unknown reason. I was trying to, move fast because she had an advantage on the clock. I just did not see it at all and just go back, which is completely fine, but the other alternative would have been a lot better. And now this move, and it's back to minus 1.5. Minus 1.2, let's not be too overdramatic. Because of the move, knight jumps there, but this move, entire idea is to just place the knight on a very good square. And if it is attacked, this knight just has a lot of pressure on the position, and it's just not good. But I just go something we call mental give up, because I just give up mentally during an important chess game. Sometimes I just give up mentally. My brain just cannot handle it, and this is literally when the bad stuff started happening. The pawn is not taken. I mean, just the pawn is not taken. I decided to close up the position because I'm realizing, oh wait, I'm mentally giving up. I should probably close the position up, and it's actually kind of leading to another draw. And now the bishop goes back, and the knight goes here, takes, and here inviting rook trades, and we just put the rook there to try and double up. Knight moves here, and I decided to double up and takes. I was considering taking the pawn here, but and after this, I have an advantage. But of course, they can always just retreat with their knight back, and the pawn is just kind of split and ugly. So this, here, and we just trade up on this endgame, and we trade everything, and it's just a draw. I mean, there's not much progress that can be made. Surely, right? Well, suddenly I give up one more time mentally and I'm losing. And the king enters the side and I resigned here because you just die. There's no other explanation. You just die here. There's like no other way to save this. I gave up. That's basically what happened. Like my brain just gave up. My brain just shut off right after I played the move d6, and I just gave up mentally, and I couldn't continue for some reason. This happens in mostly on over the board games sometimes, when my brain just shuts off, and I have to So that's that, and I'm out of the tournament. It was a best of one. The first one was a draw, didn't count, and it was just out of the tournament. Just gave the victory to my opponent because I'm stupid and should probably not play chess. That's that. And now let's go look at how my other colleagues are doing, so I don't have to feel bad about myself, even though that's literally the entire point of chess, to just feel bad about yourself. Let's go to the next one, to other people. Alright, so now we're going to look at strangers games from the tournament. We're going to start with the first one. We have two 2000s playing on the board, and hopefully it's going to be a lot better than what I played, because I'm just an 1800 at the end of the day. I have the playing strength of an 1800, sometimes the play strength of a 1700. You could call me something in between. But these guys are these are the elites. These are the elite level chess. So let's see. We have a Dutch defense and bishop g5, just a Hopton attack. I have no clue what this is, don't ask me. I play something different against the Dutch. I play g3 here, which is the Fianchetto attack. I've started to implement this on my opening repertoire. Because every time I saw the Dutch defense, I will play this, which is literally, or this, which is clearly doesn't look good. Anyway. I have bishop g5, knight to f6, and bishop takes immediately. This reminds me of a Trompowsky, but instead you've played f5 and taken. I mean, it's a very close resemblance to Trompowsky, not gonna lie. e3, d5, c4. This is pretty standard. This looks like a Trompowsky, not gonna lie. It actually resembles it in kind of a way, but I mean, it's very different. Bishop to e6 adds pressure to the pawn. Queen b3, defense and attacks, and knight to a6 instead. The computer prefers knight to c6 because this looks a little outlandish, but it makes sense because you don't want to put your knight in front of the c pawn, and you might be able to use it in the future. We have the move a3, and now we take this, and this pawn's hanging, so we defend it, and takes with the bishop. I probably would have taken with the queen, honestly. Try to throw in a queen trade. But fine, we take like that. And now we have c4, and the bishop just goes back. Queen check and c6. And now the rook goes to b1, and apparently that's a very bad move according to the engine. Why? Now, on the surface, this move just looks absolutely fine. You're just moving your rook to just, put pressure to the file, just natural move, right? The computer, I mean, castles is also perfectly fine. The computer wants f4, which the only way I can explain this to you is that if you take against this falls. That's the only thing I can explain, and that's all that I can't explain. I think that's the only move, to split the pawn structure up. So yeah, we have castles instead. This is a lot more natural. And now we attack the pawn, and I mean, not we, they attack the pawn, or whoever is playing this game. Black attacks the pawn, because I'm not playing anymore. Bishop to g6, and knight hops in that square, and probably is going to go to, I can't move, to f4, try and get the bishop, and, be happy. Rook e8 and castles instead, and now we have queen to c7, and now it's plus 1.6 because of the knight move, and the knight does indeed move, and that's a kind of a threat, because if you just let the knight take you, you're just going to ruin your pawn structure, right? So instead you lose the bishop. I mean, not lose the bishop, you just decide to trade the bishop that way. But instead of that, we have this move, which also makes perfect sense. You're going to win the pawn, so that's also another reason why this move is kind of bad. So now the king goes back. And we just take this with check, and then take this. The problem is the computer wants it the other way around. It wants bishop takes, and after takes, then it wants to take the rook, and after you take back, if you don't take with the queen, you lose the queen, so if you take like this, and then you get in. That's what the computer wants. That's what the computer wants. It's a little hard to calculate, even though these guys are 2200, so I would suppose they would be able to see that. Although that's still kind of hard to, visualize, because there might be, like, complications and stuff like that. I'm just a measly 1800. Why am I talking? But knight takes just absolutely makes a lot of sense. I mean, you have this Tetris wall of pawns, and now you also split these pawns and win this pawn, by the way, just saying. And white just has a commanding pawn advantage. And now we have king e7, trying to get the king involved, and h3 to just get the king a little bit of breathing space. And now we have the move g5, which, advances the pawns. And now the pawn is attacked, and you move the queen one square, and now the computer wants a trade of rooks. Under no circumstances should you trade this, but instead we have a trade. If you don't trade this and you play like a move like king f8 going back, they're just going to double up on the file and fix your pawn structure. So yeah, this here, and the rook just goes back to the h file, just goes back, and that's +3. And now the queen is going to get in, and now the queen is really going to get in. It takes here, and this is just... You're just done here. White tries to defend, but, they just made it in a couple moves. Wow. I'm going to be honest, I lasted way longer than that, but, yeah. I was pretty fast. Not going to lie. Anyway, there's like 2 more games that I need to wait. So, I'm gonna wait for these 2 until they're done. And I have no clue when they're being played. So that's awesome. And for the last game, Stingray with the black pieces versus Kulbasar with the white pieces. The reason I'm saying this is the last game is because the other pairings, which were another one, had 30 of them. Most of them were bullet and blitz, and only 2 of them were rapid. And I'm not going to sit here and talk about 30 games that lasted like 20 moves. So yeah, I'm just going to finish with this one. But I'm going to say East is won the tiebreak, so yeah. English Agincourt defense. The Agincourt defense, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, is basically telling white that you know the queen's gambit declined and you'd like a transposition to it, and if white obliges, you're just going to play into the queen's gambit declined as black, and you're just going to have to know some theory from here. A little bit of theory. I'm joking. There's quite a lot of theory. Not Sicilian levels theory, but a decent amount. There's this line. There's the classic Queen's Knight variations. There's the modern variation where you just cross-pin one another. There's a couple. There's also C6, the semi-Slav defense transposition, and the accelerated move order. You don't play Knight of 6. If you play like Knight of 6 here, this is Slav defense. So yeah, we have D4 but C5 instead. Interesting. Also, if you didn't realize, this is like 3 days into the future because took them players to make to schedule the games out quite a while. C5 aims for something like a Benoni structure. Decent. Knight to C3 though I cannot explain. Knight to C3 is like, I don't know what to explain. The best move undoubtedly is D5. You're trying to play this in the style of a Benoni where they're going to take your pawn. They're going to go here, you're going to go here, they're going to go here, or bring out the bishop. But the bishop is very difficult to bring out. And here, and then here. And this is a Benoni defense modern. King's pawn line. I have no clue what that means, but Benoni defense. That's all I'm going to say. And if you don't know what a Benoni defense is, it's basically like an opening where you give the opponent center to the opponent, and then you just play with your flank pawns a lot. I don't know if they're going to play with the flank pawns, though, because it's a little bit of theory needed. But knight to c3 is instead played. And I'll have takes, here, here, here. Equal position. But it's not so equal anymore after a couple of moves pass. And this is just a clean pawn fork. Queen b6, and you just, you threaten 2 pawns. Most likely going to have to defend the f-pawn, because that's near your king. But instead of that, we just have h6. Okay. Simple oversight, but it's not spotted. Takes. Bad trade, to be fair, but fine. Queen takes. And now I have to move g3. Normally, I'd like to start with e3 here and then g3, but I get it. You want to castle fast, so I get it. Okay. d5, opening up the center with your king in the middle. Probably should castle first. You know, just castle first. Okay, it's the third line of the engine. Or further down the line here, there's probably gonna be castles. So yeah. d5 and takes a knight here. Not the traditional takes, and if they take your pawn with the knight, then you take their pawn there. And if they go here, and they take your rook, they lose on the spot. Because of the savage bishop to b4 check, knight blocks, and you put so much pressure onto that knight. And you're going to have to make a getaway square, and then you take here, and then you just discover attack on the queen. You're going to win the queen in a couple of moves. Or immediately. Or the king, if they try to save their queen. So yeah, that's game over. It's just game over. There's nothing to do. So yeah, and if you play here, which is the top move, it's probably just equal still. According to the engine, I don't know how this is equal, but I'm not gonna complain. Anyway, we have d5 takes and knight to e5 instead of that magnificent line. Bishop to g2. Simple. And now we have knight to f4. g4, sorry. You could tell this is an okay move. You know, it's a good move. You're attacking a very defended pawn. But you missed the oversight of, queen a4 check. And now you're going to lose a piece. And you do, in fact, lose the piece. And then you take the pawn. And you're offered the queen trade. You don't take it. And by the way, this just looks so scary for white. I mean, you're going to lose another pawn. And don't lose this one. But you defend this. And now you've got this move, which is mad. And now the move that some people were talking about, I think it was this one. Yeah, it was this one. To reveal an attack on the spawn. We were on the VC call and we were talking about this move for some reason. I don't know, honestly. But knight to f4 is just clean. And then here. And here, but to be completely full, and to be completely, instructive, you could, of course, play rook c1, pp on the pp. Not quite. Maybe a little bit, but then if they defend it, then you take it. Or you can attack the queen one more time. And if they slide, now you're going to take it. And then here, and the difference between that one is because now you have a 2-on-1, kind of. And a split a pawn, and your pawns are connected, and you're up a piece. So in an endgame, yeah. That's the difference between taking the bishop immediately and pinning it first. So that's just a little bit of knowledge, we learn from the engine. Anyway, but we have immediately takes, which I don't hate at all. That's the human move. And now we have rook to c1. Queen goes all the way back. And you could have done an infiltration with your rook there, but it's fine. That's a little bit of hard to spot. So we have knight there. That also makes sense. You're trying to trade off a lot of material. Rook to c8. Now you take the bishop. Takes with check. And it's over. I mean, Zwiesensuche between move. With a knight, you're going to lose a knight anyway because of the trade, so you might as well lose it with an extra bonus. And here. And it's just a swarm. There's no way, and that's just wrong. Bishop to d4 doesn't, bishop to d5 doesn't quite work, but it is played anyway, and still completely winning because you're up 2 pawns in an endgame, and if those queens get traded, it's probably game over. We have the move queen check. The king moves in the corner. And queen to d7. And they take the free pawn. And force themselves a queen trade. In a rook endgame where there is a 2-on-1. And a 1-on-4. And there's 2 passed pawns. You can't stop them. Sorry, you won't be able to stop them, especially with the king over there. And now, I mean, black is just down 3 pawns in the rook endgame. That's just a death certificate. Tries to create some sort of counterplay, but unfortunately that pawn is going to be stopped. And it's going to be 5 pawns versus 1, and it's going to be really hard to hang on. And you're not going to hang on at all, and Stingray resigns. And that's the last game. Yeah, sad that I lost. At least I won't have to prep, you know, late at 5 in the morning. So yeah, semifinals eventually. I don't know if they're gonna schedule the games or that, but they will come eventually. So yeah, you're gonna have to be ready for that. I'll see you guys next time. So get the hell out of here.